And I'm live. Hello, hello. Uh, Market Shenanigans Week 3. Here I am. I had quite a lot of trades to go through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 trades. Quite a lot of trades. I didn't take all of these, of course, but I did take quite a few. And, well, just the fact that I documented them means that I want to go over them, right? I hated the results, but I know that the results are pretty bad. I got a lot of minus ones, and I know that I made at least two, but I think maybe three mistakes. And this week was very fruitful in terms of identifying some mistakes, and I actually came up with a really, really beautiful new rule that I'm going to talk about. So, yeah, we'll get into that. But generally, I know that the results are bad, but I'm gonna try my best to not focus on that, but instead focus on the process, which means how did I reach these trades? What happened before I actually got to take these trades and all that stuff that's connected to it, and how well did I follow rules? You know, the good old jazz, exactly what traders are supposed to do. And if I'm making mistakes, well, as long as I manage to find some ways to reduce them, that's all that matters. And that is the exact reason why I'm doing these batch analyses, to be able to troubleshoot these mistakes and come up with effective solutions. So hopefully that's going to be the case this week as well. But yeah, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Here we are, week 3 on my worksheet, and I'm going to start with Monday. So there were absolutely no news, and there was quite a lot of contacts, and I think all of these pretty much went on for the entire week. I think I slotted in and out UJ every now and then, depending on whether the day was interesting or not. But yeah, generally, if we take a look at the context just once before I get into this week overall, this is UJ, right? The weekly is nothing special, but if anything, it is bullish right now. I mean, there is a clear momentum cycle higher, EMA's rising up and all that. It is trapped in a big, big stage one, but on the weekly, I think that's a little bit, it's a bit too disconnected from trading 1 minute and whatnot. So I don't pay too much attention on it on the Forex pair, but the daily is definitely interesting to me. And the daily had a big push up, started going sideways, and now it looks like it wants to continue higher, right? So definitely bullish context. Next up, we have UK 100. That has been an asset on my contacts watch list for a long time. It's very bullish on the weekly. On the daily, it underwent some kind of reaccumulation and then built itself higher. Currently in a momentum cycle, everything rising, looking bullish, really, really bullish, right? JER 30, after a long time spent in the sideways that I did not trade, by the way, I was very disciplined to not put this on my watch list, even though technically I would say that I pretty much love JER 30. I have really good performance on JER 30. It doesn't matter. It's not about the asset. It's about the context. The context was sideways. I skipped it. And as it was breaking out, I started trading it. And that is the case here as well. This run on the daily might be a little bit overextended. And I think I'm actually going to talk about that regarding the 1 hour, because that's where I'm going to see this push. I'm going to call it overextended and wait for some flushes, I guess. But generally, this is very bullish and looks very good. JPN225, very bullish on the weekly, went sideways, right? And here this is clearly a reaccumulation, in my opinion. Very strong prior stage 2, and now it looks like it wants to continue. Yeah, definitely a good one to watch. And gold, extremely strong trend. I mean, if I was entering on, let's say, 1 hour or something, I would call this overextended and I would not participate. But for 1 minute and 10-second trades, this is definitely good. On the daily, yeah, building up active momentum cycle. After this reaccumulation, I can definitely see this continue higher. And silver is very similar, right? And yeah, huge trend. And same here, potentially overextended this daily push, right? But for 1 minute entries, still viable in my opinion. So yeah, those are the contexts. My thoughts before the session, many assets look decent but need some money to come in on the low time frame. Gold looks the most promising, expecting some entries, and lots of stuff was breaking out, expecting more trades. I think I took this note after New York Open. So yeah, lots of trades here. So I think I took most of my trades on Monday, maybe a few on Tuesday, and then I think the last 3 days of the week I literally wasn't even trading because everything looked crap. So let's get into it. First trade, uh, yeah, first trade is over here, and let's take a look. So I'm gonna, as always, I'm looking at the highest here on the 60. The assets that appear here are only the assets that are valid from the weekly and daily perspective, as I went through the context before. So I don't need to see the higher. I know that these assets are good. So here I'm gonna look on the 60 as the highest. So gold, beautiful stage 2 here, nice reaccumulation, continuation, pulls back. This is a beautiful MMB, and if I can get some kind of like build up over here and sign of continuation, I'm definitely looking to trade that. So this is beautiful context in my opinion. If we zoom into that, we can see that there was a strong stage 2, right? And then it started going sideways. As it went sideways for too long, I'm like, okay, this is a stage 1. A stage 1 is defined by some kind of range extremes, right? Some kind of support resistance or whatnot. So this. So I definitely want to see a breakout and basically the market showing me that it wants to go higher. So here, anytime the market would interact with one of these levels, like this one, this one, this one, like every time it interacted, it got pushed back down, right? So for me, this is a very, very clear sell wall, and I simply want to see a strong push through this general level, not like some one line or whatnot, but in general, I want to see strong momentum through this level. That's exactly what happens over here. EMA is rising. Everything looks great. We go to the 1 minute, right? We have that chop, chop, chop over here, and all of a sudden, huge momentum that takes us higher, pulls back into the rising 1020, and that's where I look for a trade. And here I am on the 10-second looking for the trade, right? Generally, what I'm looking for is very simple. I have a strong stage 2, then I have a nice flagging pullback, and then I have to be able to draw the diagonal, and I want to see a breakout through the diagonal and through a horizontal level as well. That's how you always see these lines that I draw here, right? And this, it kind of happens, but it gets pushed down immediately. But I do set up my buy stop here with the intent to take it. And this is already going to like be one of those examples of why I ended up creating a new rule this week. Because when I am on the 10-second on the entry in general, I also, well, the entry is always going to happen in an MMB of the higher time frame, right? So this is the entry. So the 1 minute has to be an MMB, and it is. And an MMB will be defined by this line by some kind of containment. And I created this new rule that when I can draw this line of containment, I want to see a breakout and I want to see a candle close on the V time frame. And the reason for that is because it's going to filter out so many trades where I get a valid or quote unquote valid entry like this one that actually ends up being just a wick. And that happens over here, as you can see. Like this is just a wick. And with this rule, I can filter out so many trades that simply don't meet this rule. And actually, there is going to be a beautiful example of this in the follow-up trade because this is going to set up yet again, and that next trade is actually what I'm going to be looking for always going forward. So here, I really think this is too early, and not just because this is only a wick, but also because of the strength of the breakout itself. Like, yes, it has strength over here, right? But in general, we want to see strength through the levels that we're looking for. Now here, this is just I would argue this is easily just a peekaboo, so I would much rather see something like this maybe, and then for it to set up or whatnot. But very, very importantly, I just want to see a candle close. So I will consider this trade a mistake. It is way too early, and I think I already marked that up. Yep, this ends up being a -1. As you see, this taps me in and instantly fucks me up. I mean, honestly, well done to the composite operator. I mean, this little shenanigan over here, that was quite mean, I would say, but it is what it is. So, yes, this is indeed a mistake. Let's just see what I write here. Instant -1. Did I maybe enter this too early? I don't know. Looks fine to me. Well, I decide now that, yes, this is indeed too early. So I'm going to call this a mistake. What can I say here? And I'm just going to say too early. Yep. I think there is nothing else here to say. Maybe here on the entry, I will say too early again. And maybe I don't even need this over here. So, yeah, cool. And now we have a follow-up trade. So, it let me see. So here's the follow-up trade. It's in the exact same area. If we take a look at the 1 minute, right? The 1 minute here was going back to the rising 1020. That's exactly the same here. Yeah, so here it pulled back a little bit more, and here it's technically below the rising 1020, but if it's just a tiny little bit, I don't mind as much. But here what we have is we have a candle close through the containment line. This is showing me that it actually wants to go higher, and then as it starts pulling back, that's when I want to get involved. And I either get involved by buy stopping the high itself or by getting like an inside ICI over here, right? Doesn't quite matter. But here I am on the 10 second. It's very, very clear, like compared to this one over here, it's very clear that it wants to go higher. Here it reaccumulates. Some lows are liquidated, right? That's the definition of reaccumulation. And that makes it valid for me to set up this trade. And I think this trade was absolutely beautiful. From the top-down analysis, all the way from the weekly, daily, 66, 1, all the way to the 10 seconds, this was pristine context. And that's true for the previous trade as well. It's just that the E time frame, I FOMO'd in a little bit too early, but here I waited for exactly what I wanted to see, and this trade was, in my opinion, perfect. I really like this trade. Yes, it ends up being a -1, but we don't focus on that. I like this trade. I would take this trade anytime again. So here I write, it's moving so damn slow, makes me want to set TP to 0, but it's just playing with my emotions, gonna stick to my rules, alright? If it's a -1, it's a -1, all good. These wicks might be proof of sells being present in the market. Perhaps waiting for a breakout above might be a better idea. Okay, I see what I'm saying here. I see. Well, maybe. But also, it is totally expected to, after a run, to get some kind of sells coming in, right? And as long as it reaccumulates and it really takes some lows and then shows sign of momentum and reignition, I think it should be completely fine. So, yep, this taps me in, and I even set TP to 0 after we lose the momentum cycle on the V on the 1 minute, and hoping for some good luck. But no, that doesn't happen, and I get a -1. But it's fine. I think this trade was good. I would take it anytime again. So what do I say here? I don't think I say anything. This is all good. Okay, so that's trade number 2. Let's go into the next trade. So here we have JERT 30. On the 60 minutes, right, we had a nice push higher, then it started going sideways, then it went higher again, went sideways a little bit, and now it goes higher again. If there is good momentum here, I see absolutely no problem in following this market. This looks good. So here we are on the 6 minute. I'm going to just say that this is choppy as fuck, like here and here. But here it looks good. Like the momentum that comes in here looks very, very nice. The candles are big, chunky, not wicky. This is looking beautiful actually. And since this is the V, my best trades almost always come from exactly this type of price action where I have a really nicely well-defined stage one, a strong breakout that pulls back into the MMB1 and the MMB2 like this. So this meets all of the rules. I really, really like it. And here we are on the 10 second, right? My E, super strong stage two, exactly what I want to see. And now I have my two lines, I have my diagonal, I have my horizontal. Most importantly, did we get some liquidations? Yes, we did. Even like here and here. So this is definitely a reaccumulation, looks good. And reignition, right? This looks very nice, pulls back and creates a beautiful, beautiful DMB in my opinion. I love this trade. I think this trade is really, really good. So what do I write here? Let's see. Not gonna lie, I do feel scared because of being -2 on the day, but I gotta take the trade if the rules are met. Yes, indeed. I just have to. Rules are rules, and as I always say, taking trades is not necessarily something that I want to do, right? I would ideally preserve capital, but if my rules are met, I just have to take the trade. So I take the trade and it ends up being a -1. Shit happens, but I still think it was a good trade. So, anything that I don't like about this trade? No, I don't think so. I think this trade was once again perfect. Okay. So, moving on, we have another trade on 30. So let me see what happens here. So I can see that on the 6 minute previously, I was trading over here, right? Because price broke out and pulled back. Okay, let's go to the 1 minute actually. That's nicer. So price broke out, pulled back into this MMB, and I expected continuation. Instead, it slowed down and then it fell off. And here, oh yeah, I think I did not take this trade actually, because this, I don't know, I didn't like this trade too much because it's not a flagging consistent pullback. It didn't give me a chance to like draw a diagonal or a horizontal. Like this was a little bit sus. I did not like this trade, but this actually ends up delivering to +5. So here, what do I say here? Yeah, didn't take this one because the pullback was ugly, huge sell-off. Yeah. So had I entered it, I didn't. I would be risk-free above the floating supply because at that point, I don't want to have any risk on. I'm giving this a chance to break through and continue higher if it wants to. If it wants to come back, I don't want anything to do with it, right? And what does it do? Well, this is where I enter, and it does exactly that. It just goes, 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 and very, very quickly goes to +5. So yep, that's pretty cool. And I decided to keep track of both trailing and my +5 strategy. If I had done my trailing on the V, I would be up 2.45. Otherwise, I would be up +5. So yeah, just tracking both of them. Okay, so this trade, I think it's good that I didn't take it because honestly, I think that it was not pretty. It was a 1 minute entry, right? And the entry itself, I think, was ugly. Ugly why? Well, there was a huge sell-off, first of all. Uh, is there a huge sell-off? And it was not a flagging pullback as well. It was below that. Well, there wasn't even a diagonal. So, yeah, it was ugly. Do I have anything here about flagging? No, I don't. Not a flagging pullback. I'm gonna write that here. I think this one is gonna happen many, many more times. So I'm gonna put that somewhere on top. So I I didn't like that entry, and it's kind of sad that the one entry that is, in my opinion, not that nice ends up delivering. Right? That sucks. But what can you do? So boom, didn't take. Yep. I'm gonna call this one a mistake. hmm Okay. Let's move on to another trade, and here we have gold. So gold I already traded. Let's check the 6 minute. Okay, so we had this breakout into MMB. Okay, what do we have now on this newest trade? All right, so previously I was trying to trade over here That doesn't quite go. Instead, it goes on another reaccumulation, and then it breaks out with big, big strength into a new range, right? We can see that over here, and yeah, huge momentum and a pullback. This looks like a really, really nice MMB. I like it a lot. And what do we have here? Uh, Okay, so first thing I'm gonna say is, once again, I have nothing defined here. I don't have a horizontal, I don't have a diagonal, I don't have a horizontal. I have absolutely nothing here, and this trade, in my opinion, was a little bit forced. I would say that no consistent selling came into this. I would have much, much preferred to see something like this and then maybe a breakout or whatnot. So I think, once again, this was too early, in my opinion. And I think I have a text here. Yep, I'm gonna say that this was too early. Boom. This might have been too early. So what do I have to say about this trade? It's this one, right? Okay. So I do enter it. Uh, is it this trade? Mm, is it this trade? Yes, it is. Okay, cool. Yeah, I can even see on the 10 second that this is not really pretty. Like, usually when I enter through, when I check my eMicro, the 10 second for a 1 minute entry, right? What I like to see is a, a beginning, like a first wave, a first push that reaccumulates. But this doesn't really look like a first push. This is just it's too early. Nothing has quite built up, in my opinion. So I don't like this trade. Ultimately, if I think about would I take this trade again, the answer would be no. I don't like this trade. So I'm gonna call this a mistake. And mistake why? Well, simply because I have nothing defined here. So entry is definitely ugly because, well, it's not a flagging pullback. It's below diagonal, all of those things, right? Mm, yep. So this is how I managed. I would be risk-free again as it taps above the floating supply. That's very, very good in general to reduce risk during such a moment. Then it break. Oh, I reduced risk twice. I see, because it's a bigger spread asset, and as it creates fractal structure and breaks higher, I am completely risk-free, and that comes back to a break even, which is cool. But yeah, ultimately, I think I should not have taken this. So I think it was a mistake. All right. What else do we have here? We have another JER30 trade over here. Cool. Let's take a look. So JER30 before, what was happening before? So before we were breaking out of this stage one on the 1 hour and we had a nice MMB. What do we have now? Okay. Was it this trade over here? Why? So did that just tap me out and ended up delivering, or what happened? Uh, Let me just take a quick look. Oh, right, right. That was the trade that actually ended up delivering but didn't meet my rules. I see, I see. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So this is the trade that tapped me in and continued higher. And here I am looking for another trade. So I have a stage one and, well, let me see. So I have a stage one over here, right? And this is a breakout MMB1, MMB2 on the 6 minutes. So I'm arguing this is MMB2 and I'm looking for a continuation. Yes, absolutely. That makes sense. But, and this is something that I actually haven't had in my rules yet. I do have a rule about price being choppy, and that means that there is simply a lot of supply in the market, and instead of it moving like one-sided like this, it moves something like this, like it constantly just chops, 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 but generally moves higher. That's what I call choppy. But there's also wiki, right? And I don't necessarily have a rule regarding wickiness, but if I look at this price action over here, holy shit, is it ugly. It's so, so bad. And when I shared this trade with my buddies in my group, they all said, "Hey, this price action looks horrible. It looks really wicky," and they would not trade it. And I have to give it to them. Yeah, it does look really, really bad. also here on the 10-second, I can see it, right? I mean, look, everything leading to this trade is beautiful, right? All the top-down analysis is great. But once again, if we look at the entry itself, here we have a strong stage 2, which qualifies me to look for a trade in the upcoming reaccumulation, right? Here, I draw the diagonal and everything. It's looking fine. Here it breaks out in the diagonal, but it gets immediately pushed down, which already means that this level is just a wick. Therefore, it should not be traded through. I already talked about that new rule earlier when I had a similar entry. I don't know what it was on. It was the first trade, I think. Here, this is just a wick. This is not a signal for me to set a buy stop, right? I would like to see this break through higher and then pull back and then maybe I can buy stop. So this would break that rule if I had it. I didn't. Now I do. But also this is so sideways and ugly and like I don't know what to say about this. This is just ugly and forced and I will implement a wiki rule as well. And when I see price action that looks like this, I will most likely completely avoid and I will wait for price to break higher and hopefully give me a setup above if it's still valid in regards to MMB count. So this is ugly. I'm just gonna put a note here. Wiki. And do I have this text here? Yes. This is very wiki. So something that's worth talking about and noting is what does it actually mean when something is wiki, right? It simply means that there is a lot of supply in the market. I'm always trying to get involved on markets that are very one-sided, where demand clearly overpowers supply, but not just that. That's just one part of the formula. The second part is that I want supply to be as diminished as possible. In other words, I want there to be an overwhelming amount of buys happening on the market that I'm looking to get involved on bullishly. And I'm also looking for the market to not have many sellers. Wicks are proofs of self, especially wicks from the top, right? If there's wicks from the bottom, that's just demand, that's absorption or whatnot. But when there's a lot of wicks from top, that is really like that signals to me that there is a lot of sells happening in this area. And when I get involved, chances are those sells will continue. And I do not want to participate in such a market. So really like the weakness is going to be something I will start to look into more, both on E and on V. So yeah, this is most definitely a mistake in my opinion. Yeah, I already went through that. This is a mistake. Okay, so this was a mistake. And mistake why? Well, because the entry was extremely wiki. Wiki. Okay. And then there is one more trade on this day, and that's once again on gold. So we had that breakout over here where I was looking for a trade, right? Then it goes higher and then it just falls off the face of the earth. It gets completely annihilated. And here, let's see what happens. Well, we have a DMB already on the 6 minute. So as price breaks above here, I'm kind of confident that this could be a clear sign of continuation, right? Let's take a look at the 1 minute and what's happening over here. So on the 1 minute, we have some kind of pullback, right? And here I would say this is a stage 1. It breaks out and goes on a run here. Okay, so here it pulls back a little bit too deep. I would say creates yet another stage 1. And here it breaks out and we have MMB1, MMB2. Here, well, maybe this is too deep, but I don't know. I don't know. Is it too deep? Well, I looked at the 10-second here and I thought this is simply a spring. So this was a bit discretionary. But that being said, like everything here is looking very, very bullish. The 60 minute really looks like it wants to continue. This, eh, this is a This is nothing special, but it did break out higher, and all the EMAs are rising and whatnot. I think it's decent. And looking at the final 10 seconds here, I do have a clearly defined diagonal and horizontal, and I do have a breakout out of there that is very strong and creates a beautiful DMB. The previous stage 2 here was strong enough as well. I honestly think this trade was nice, and if I had a chance to take this trade again, I think I would take it again. I think it's good. The floating supply was not even liquidated, so there was definitely space. Yeah, I would take this trade again. Oh, I didn't take it actually. Okay, okay. Uh, I would call this good. So let's say what I have to say here. Didn't take this because I took too many losses already. It does look good though. Ah, I see. Okay, exceeded daily losses. I simply didn't want to trade anymore, but I still documented it to go over it in my batch analysis. All right. So here, as it breaks out, as it shows some strength away from my entry, that's when I reduce my risk, okay? And it actually comes immediately back and would have given me a spread loss. But honestly, I think this trade was good. So, but I'm not mad that I didn't take it. Like, it's definitely good that I didn't take if I exceeded the daily loss limit. So, yeah, overall, a good decision. But generally, I would call this trade good. Okay. So that's all for Monday. I feel like I got completely fucked by gold. Sucks, but it is what it is. Yeah. Mm. So it was quite a bad day. Lots of losses on that given day, and I actually reflected right after that day on my walk, and I also discussed my performance on the day with my buddies. And the conclusions that I have reached is that all the mistakes that I did here, so one, two, uh, three mistakes on this day, all three of them were on the entry time frame. Okay, so here mistake simply because this was a little bit too early. Here mistake because mistake in the trade, right? Like I didn't take this, which is good, but this entry is not my entry, so that was not good. This was a mistake simply because, yeah, on the 1 minute it was below everything, so this is not my type of setup. Also, a mistake on the E. Here we have another mistake, and that's also on the E because the E is extremely wicky and back and forth. And and that's all. That's all. So what that leads me to is that from the top-down analysis perspective, I think I am being very, very patient and I am waiting for amazing times in the market. And I'm going to give myself credit for having good contacts, good validations, and all of that. All the mistakes that I made are on the entry itself. And that's, while it would be, of course, better to not make any mistakes, and that's the goal, I am glad that actually I can group all of these mistakes together and say that they are just one thing that is going wrong, and that's the entry. Because if it was like three mistakes and each mistake would be something different, that would mean that I have so much stuff to work on. But this gives me confidence that my high time frame rules and my cascading rules that allow me to slowly get myself down to the entry time frame are all very, very good. And I like the areas and the context in which I'm getting involved. That by itself is huge. It's amazing. Now I just need to take care of my entry rules and actually follow them. And I think those are almost the most difficult ones, especially on the low time frame, because sometimes we only have a few seconds to decide whether something looks good or not, and we need to have it really, really well defined for ourselves, and we need to be super precise. So that's why I came up with this rule that I will wait for a 1 minute close, and I have another rule now with the wickiness, and slowly but surely I am taking care of these little kinks that can make me take entries that don't look good. And as I get better at applying these rules, I think they should be able to filter out only price action that I will actually like. So that's going to be the biggest take home point from this entire week's batch analysis for me, to focus on the ease because everything else looks really, really good. And that has been the case for the past many, many weeks because every time I would note, hey, I am really patient and I'm only getting involved in absolutely pristine context. That's great. Now I just need to make a final few adjustments to ensure that the entries that I take are actually good. So yeah, that's that. Now let's move on and go into Tuesday. So Tuesday. Okay, some news. I have my alarm set. Proof of that over here. Here I think I added another thing. SPX 500. So let's just check it out. It looked okay, and I thought if some big money can come into it, I would follow it, right? But NAS 100 is still trapped below like a resistance, below a sell wall. But SPX looked decent. As I said, I would only get involved if money came in. Other than that, I followed exactly the same stuff. So everything is reaccumulating now. On Monday, a lot of the stuff moved, but overnight it lost its momentum and it was reaccumulating. So London looks dead, but I'll wait for New York. I did wait for New York, and New York Open looked promising, especially gold and 30. And I end up taking nothing actually, nothing set up, but I did document these two UJ trades that happened in Asia session. And not because I should have taken them or anything, but simply because, well, I saw that Asia session was really nice and I looked at what opportunities were presented and I wanted to document them simply because of how they met rules and how they looked. So I want to go over those and check them out. So here they are, two UJ trades, right? So UJ, big push, reaccumulated, and now we have a beautiful candle close and a breakout candle into a new range. Of course, I would be looking to trade this higher with the expectation of something like this happening. So on the 6 minute, we have a breakout that pulls back into the rising 1020, perfect area to look for a trade. And here we are on the 1 minute or the 10 second, it doesn't quite matter, but we have a strong stage 2 that has a sell-off over here. And the sell-off can be very clearly contained with this line, and the last sell came pretty much from over here. So those are my two lines, and here it breaks out and it creates a beautiful, beautiful DMB, right? So here the DMB is it's very simple, right? It's like the first push and a pullback. I don't even need this to necessarily be a reaccumulation, although it is. It does liquidate the the initiation of this demand, but in this specific case where it's like the first impulse pullback, next impulse, this is a perfect DMB in my opinion, and I would have taken this trade, no question asked. So let me see how that would have played out. So this was Asia session, just documenting. All right. So here it starts going a little bit in my direction, but doesn't quite show a lot of strength the way I would like to see. Maybe I could have reduced risk on this candle over here already, but I decided not to. And as it breaks into a new high over here, that's when I go completely risk-free. And yeah, that would go into a +5 really, really quickly. So it's good that I didn't take it because, well, I wasn't trading at the time. But yeah, this met rules really, really well. I like it so much. This was a good trade. And there's another UJ trade. So 6 minutes, right? This was the first pullback, and now we have the second pullback, so definitely valid to look for trades. Here we are on the 1 minute, strong stage 2, starts flushing out and reaccumulating. I can quite clearly define the sell-off, contain the sell-off with the diagonal, and also I can define the last sell and where it came from, which was over here, and then it goes higher with quite nice momentum, I would say, and then it starts going sideways. Honestly, like this trade could definitely be better, I would say. Like if this was a bit stronger as a breakout, I think it would be better. But yeah, like the context is so good. So even like buy stopping the DMB like this, right? As a, let's say, accumulation schematic makes a lot of sense. And this also, I think, delivers to +5 very quickly. So I would be risk-free after this big chunky 1 minute candle. And yeah, this also delivered to +5. This one, honestly, if I had the option to take it and I wouldn't mind too much. Simply because the E could be a little bit better, but it's still very good. I'm gonna call this trade good as well. Yeah, decent trade. Okay, so nothing set up on Tuesday. Cool. Let's go to Wednesday. Some news at 2:30. I have all my alerts and so on. I took SPX out of these and I took something else out as well. I don't quite know what. Doesn't matter. And what am I thinking here? Most stuffs look rather weak, but UK 100 and gold might set up. And BTC is also breaking out, and I completely missed it. I see. So here I have a trade on BTC that was not on my radar. So let's check it out. And BTC, I'm just gonna quickly jump over here, go to BTC and go to something like the daily or weekly, doesn't quite matter. I can go to the weekly. I've been looking at the weekly for a long time, and I've been saying for a long time that this stage one, the moment there's a breakout to either side, I will follow it, either long or short. Doesn't quite matter to me, right? But actually, I didn't have an alert set, so I totally missed it that it started breaking out, but it did. So here we can see where the stage, um, what the heck? Yeah, here we can see where the stage one was defined, right? And yeah, it broke higher on good momentum, pulled back, and here it broke out again on huge, huge momentum. So already here, I bet I could have been looking for some trades, but I'm not sure if anything set up. Ah, yeah, okay, so I would be entering BTC on the 1 minute, so there was absolutely no setup here for me, unfortunately. I would be looking at something like this and this. So I would need to get a pullback over here to get involved. That doesn't happen. Instead, it goes to MMB2, which is still completely valid for me to trade. And this time, I have a clearly defined diagonal and horizontal, and it breaks out with good momentum. And this would be a 100% valid trade for me. So let's see how I would have managed. So had I actually entered this, which I didn't, on this chunky candle, I would be risk-free. It also, I would probably be risk-free already as it liquidated the floating supply, to be completely honest. But unfortunately, that comes back to a break even. So, well, it's a kind of a mistake that I didn't take this because I was supposed to know when to follow this. I didn't have an alert, and that's my bad. So I'm going to actually call this a mistake. I should have done better there. So yeah, that is that. But the trade itself, I think, is absolutely perfect. So the trade is good, but the execution was not good. Whoops. Okay. And lastly, I have another trade here on Bitcoin. And here I got from practice and instantly set a buy order. That's rare. Hope it's not a mistake, but I think this looks great. Yeah, it's really rare that you come to the PC and a trade is setting up in front of your eyes, right? It doesn't happen often, but that doesn't mean that it cannot happen. So I think, well, let's see if this trade was any good. So here we are on the 60. Price broke out and pulled back into the rising 1020. Definitely looks amazing. So here we are on the 6 minute, very strong push, reaccumulated, perfectly contained with the diagonal and a horizontal, pushes out again, pulls back into the rising 1020. Here we have a flush out, and with that flush out, we have a beautiful, beautiful DMB. I honestly think this trade was good. I mean, if I was to look at some kind of containment, maybe the sell-off was a little bit too steep. I don't know. I don't have a rule about that really. But what's important is this was most definitely a reaccumulation and a flush and whatnot. And the DMB was very strong, like very momentous and whatnot. So I do like this trade. I think this trade was good. Maybe there's an argument to be made that if this is MB1, then this MB2 is way too big. So perhaps that is something that I could have looked into. Maybe like after it didn't tap in here and went sideways, I should have canceled. I don't know. That's like That's some initial thoughts that I have here. Mm, I'm not sure, but either way, this ended up being a very, very quick -1. It just taps me in and instantly fucks me up. So maybe it actually, like I remember in the past, I had this one rule where MB2 cannot be bigger than MB1. And here it's definitely the case. MB2 is bigger than MB1. That could be a problem. Yeah, totally forgot about that one. So how does that go hand in hand with some of the traits that I took here? So here that would be the case as well, right? So I would avoid that. Here this is actually really nice. Here this is really nice as well. This MB2 is rather small. These entries were ugly. Here it's the same size. Here the MB2 is definitely not bigger than MB1. Okay. Here MB2 is pretty much the same size as MB1. And here, well, yeah, this this was a mistake for different reasons. All right, well, I think that this is what I'm going to ultimately say. MB2 was bigger than MB1, making this a mistake. Totally, totally forgot about this rule. Oh well. So, mistake, mistake. Okay, and mistake why? Mistake because MB2 is bigger than MB1. Don't I have something like that here? Yes, I definitely do. All right. So, goddamn, goddamn, this was bad. Very bad. So many mistakes, and all of them happened on my E. All of them happened on my E. So, what this leads me to believe is that I will have to go back to the drawing board, and I'm gonna have to simply draw out a new sequence of how I want to trade my E's and all the rules that come in, because clearly I am a little bit confused about it, and I did make quite a few changes throughout last year to my E, and I guess it's a bit of a mumbo jumbo in my mind, and I need to solidify it. Too many mistakes on the E-man, way too many, and I kind of hate it. So that sucks. Anyway, Thursday, I think I did all the contacts and shit, expecting a no trade day. Yeah, and it was indeed a no trade day. And the same on Friday, I believe, not even filling anything out, no trade day. Actually, I did end up watching UK 100 for a bit, but it ended up failing anyway. All right. So going into the analysis, uh, it's a horrible week. It's -6.2. It's so bad. But well, I didn't lose any money on it. It's still all on forward test. But this just means that I'm going to be yet again deeper in the DD and yet again further away from actually stepping into the live markets with great confidence. I really need to take care of my entry time frame. I just have to. So yeah, let's fill out this stuff. This is Wait, did I already fill this in? January 12th? Yes. 10:04, 10:14. Okay, yeah, okay. I see. So JER30 as well, Gen 12. That's another one. I took this at 11:47, and it's also a -1.2. Okay, another gold trade also taken on. This is also January 12th. Taken when 14:36. Also a -1.2. Okay, another JER30 trade, also on Jan 12, taken at 15:58. Is that a -1.2 as well? This is actually -0.2. Yeah, this is a break even. Okay, and then on Jan 14, I have a BTC trade. Jan 14 taken at 20:51, and that's also -1.2. All right, so -25R again. This is so bad. all the gains I made last week, which was like +6, I think, all of them are deleted now. And I actually accumulated quite a lot of mistakes, I believe. So if we take a look at mistakes, 4R of mistakes. Oh man, that's just so sad. Um, so I really want to ensure that I can see the types of mistakes that I did in this view. So in order to do that, I will have to, well, I will have to add it to here. So if I write too early, okay, that's what it was. I can then see it here, cool. So this gold trade, what was wrong with this gold trade? Ugly entry, okay. So something regarding entries, I'm sure I have something, okay. Ugly entry, yep. Why was it an ugly entry? Was it also too early? Let me see. Yeah, this was definitely too early as well. Okay, then I have a dirty trade here. The mistake was that it was very wiki. Okay, wiki, and it was wiki mainly on the entry, right? So ugly entry. Uh, BTC mistake was, well, I wasn't following, right? Uh, should have taken, I guess. And this BTC trade, uh, well, MB2 was, so it was an ugly entry, and it's because MB2 was bigger than MB1. Okay, so now I can see the mistakes here. And this was too early on the entry itself, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I also need to put in ugly entry. Okay. So ugly entry, ugly entry, ugly entry, ugly entry. It's all regarding the entries, man. Very, very sad. Had I traded perfectly this week, I would have only traded these three, and I would be down minus 2.6. So let's fill that in. hmm I need to do it like this, I believe. Okay. This stuff I put here. So let me just see how do I actually set this up. Okay. Boop. So this should be like this. Yeah, okay, okay. So now I'm just gonna copy this here. Well, I'm not actually going to trade this in any way. Uh, yep, this is gonna be week 4. All right, cool. So, mhm, yep. So what went well? What went well was uh, patience, right? Patience in terms of high time frame and top-down analysis. So patience, waiting for good context. That's probably the only thing that went well, and it's a huge thing. Like, it's good that I am able to do this. But what went well? What went bad? Okay, last week, I actually didn't check this. So, last week I failed with some candle closes on the C. Okay, some ugly entries below diagonal. Okay, yeah, hey, beautiful. This is yet another example of exactly that, where I buy stop, fuck, I buy stop something that ends up being just a wick, right? I will have a rule for that right now. Here, it's below the diagonal. It's not even an entry. It's just ugly. Should not have taken that. And management could use some refined rules for extended markets. I see. Well, that's actually the case. I return back to the 5R fixed. I'm going to track the trailing, and if it shows really nice profitability over time, I'm going to switch. But honestly, as I didn't think of one thing when I switched to the trailing, and that is that whenever I'm in a trade, I need to stay at the screen and I need to manage it, and that's kind of annoying. I really don't like it. Instead, I think I'm more than happy to maybe sacrifice a little bit of EV to just have the simplicity and the comfort of stepping into a trade, waiting for a risk-free, and then just letting it do whatever it wants to, right? And being able to step away from the screen. So I'm back to +5, and we'll see what happens. So anyway, my results this week. My results this week are absolutely horrible. -6.2. Oh, come on. -6.2R. Results had I traded perfectly would be -2.6. If perfect. So most definitely not a good week for me. But what I want to really emphasize here is that whether it's going to be a good week or not is completely in my hands, and it depends on what I do with all of this. So these results are feedback for me in understanding where I'm currently at. And where I'm currently at is that I am having a little bit of confusion on my entry timeframes, and that is a clear call to action for me to actually do something that will allow me to remove that confusion. And one of those things is introducing these two new rules. These two new rules are, oh, I didn't do this. The two new rules are the wickiness, the general wickiness on the E time frame, and probably on any time frame, honestly. So it's the understanding of wickiness and introducing wickiness into my chart analysis. That's going to be huge because it's going to prevent me from participating in markets that have a lot of supply in them, right? The wicks are proof of that. And very importantly, the candle close on the V out of the containment before I follow on the E. That's going to be huge. And it's going to prevent me from taking these trades that are a tiny little bit too early, the trades that are just fake outs and should not be buy stopped. So yeah, that's going to be huge. But here, what went bad? I actually need to rewrite this. And what went bad? Couple of things. Uh, Traded wiki markets. So regarding that, I am immediately going to take a screenshot of that so that I can IS this one. So I can go over that later if I want to. Traded wiki markets and entered too early. All mistakes on the E, okay, and entered too early. Let me actually, oh, and also MB2 was bigger than MB1. This I'm going to immediately capture here. I can make this nice and small because it doesn't matter. I can zoom into it. Okay. And now the markets that I ended up trading too early. By the way, I think this is another example of MB2 being bigger than MB1. I actually don't want to trade this type of entry. I really don't. I should change that. Uh, so let's do this. I'm actually going to change this to mistake. Okay, let me find that trade. This week gallery. So I think it's the second UJ trade. Yeah, this one. I think it was generally not a good trade because MB2 is bigger than MB1. Where the heck is it? Ugly entry, MB2, MB1 kind of thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Good. And there were a couple of entries that I entered way too early. Like, for example, this one. Okay. Let's put that in here. Make it smaller. Okay. This one. And I think there was at least one more. Uh, which was it? This was good. This was good. This was ugly. This was good. This was ugly. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's it. So yeah, all mistakes on the E. That's just that's important to note down. So coming in next week, I will probably not do it right now. I will do it at some point when I have time. I am going to go yet again into my session or section over here, and I am going to update the way that I enter the market. By the way, if I take a look into all of this, once again, this all makes sense. I think this is all good. As you can see, the way I draw these things already, I will be able to draw the diagonal and horizontal the way I want to. Even with like, okay, with this setup, I will be able to do this. With this setup, I will be able to do this because there's going to be some kind of sell-off and stuff over here. With this setup, I will be able to do that, right? Uh, what else? With this setup, well, this is the last viable trade. This is a little bit different, but I think that's going to be able to do as well. So yeah, this all makes sense. I just need to ensure that the breakouts that I take are strong enough and the that they don't get immediately retraced, resulting in a wick. That's pretty much what I will need to take care of. So yeah, this is probably a bit longer video, but it's a very important one and yeah, I have things to work on. So, how long is this? 1 hour. All right, peace.